Yeah, one of the things that I've focused on so much, as you guys know, is education. So I'm getting ready to go over to this UN climate conference in Egypt, heading out very soon here if this hurricane doesn't clobber us. And as one would suspect, one of the primary targets of this conference is the children. They want to brainwash the children with climate propaganda to be able to continue this ideology, this effort to destroy freedom, this effort to destroy national sovereignty, this effort to destroy capitalism under the guise of saving us from global warming, from alleged man-made global warming. And their plan, I mean, and they're telling you openly, is to brainwash and propagandize and indoctrinate these little school children and turn them into activists, which of course they've been doing in this country for a very long time. We've got the clips. We've showed them to you before in the classroom of teachers teaching kids this garbage and then giving them letters to sign for their congressmen and stuff. Well, at this UN climate summit, they're being very, very open about this. You've got obviously Greta Thunberg, the autistic Swedish child who's being trotted out as some kind of superhero for the little kids to emulate and look up to. Right? She went on a school strike to fight climate change. Yeah. And then you got the Secretary General of the United Nations, former leader of Socialist International before taking over the UN, saying, hey, if there was one seed to prevent climate change, it's education. Okay. That is the Secretary General of the UN saying that. You've got EarthDay.org. That is the world's largest recruiter for the environmental movement. According to its About Us page, they've got 150,000 partners around the world from 192 countries on board with this thing. And the UN and according to their website, the UN did a review of statements by world leaders on transforming education, and fully 1/3 of the statements submitted by these leaders committed to, and I'm quoting here, committed to integrating climate change education into their school curricula and promoting carbon neutrality in education. In other words, zero CO2 emissions, which is complicated because the average person emits about 2 pounds of CO2 every single day just by breathing. On top of that, you've got Education International. This is the world's largest alliance of teachers' unions. They purport to represent something like 33 million teachers around the world. And they've got a whole page on the COP27 on this UN climate conference. And it's Teach for the Planet, right? This is this initiative they've got. And it involves quality climate change education or indoctrination for all. And they mean all. They say education is a powerful tool to support both mitigation and adaptation efforts, should be recognized as such at COP27. They say governments must finance and implement reforms to include quality climate change education in curricula across subjects and grades, as well as in teacher training courses and professional development opportunities. So we've got to brainwash these kids in every subject, in every grade, so that they will be good little climate zombies, ready to trade their freedom, ready to trade their countries, ready to trade their families, even their ability to have children, for this false idol of the Mother Earth and the climate. Now, this guy, David Edwards, who's the General Secretary, how appropriate, of Education International, he sent out this tweet to the world leaders assembled at COP27, and he said some incredible things, folks. Listen to this guy blabber.
I'm David Edwards, the General Secretary of Education International. We represent over 32 million teachers and education workers in every corner of our planet. As world leaders debate the fate of humanity at COP27, teachers stand with students to demand bold action to cut carbon emissions and address the climate emergency. While the solution to the crisis is complex, education is a critical part of any effective strategy. Climate action starts in our classrooms. Active citizenship and sustainable lifestyles start in our classrooms. Green jobs start in our classrooms. Our Teach for the Planet campaign advocates for the key role education has to play in addressing the climate crisis. The world needs quality climate education based on science and with a civic action focus embedded across the curricula. This is the only way to ensure that all students understand the climate crisis, but also know what they can do to address it, from the essential elements of sustainable living to the power of civic action and mobilization.
All right, folks. Did you hear that? You got to have a civic action focus embedded across the curriculum. Civic action focus, by the way, for those who aren't familiar with the Globo speak, is basically turning your kids into little weaponized activists who are going to go out and do the bidding of these people. You've got the Council on Foreign Relations, deep state headquarters here in the United States, sending out an email on how teachers can brainwash their children successfully to believe in this garbage. And of course, the next generation pseudoscience standards, as I call them, brought to you by the same clowns who brought you Common Core. For 12 years, they've got science standards over and over and over again. Global warming, man-made global warming, people are bad. Never once will they hear the term scientific method if the schools and the teachers follow these pseudoscientific standards that they want to implement all over the country. Folks, the people peddling this climate crisis narrative know very well that people who understand the scientific method, the people who understand science, that people who have common sense know that destroying the American economy, giving up our freedom, and surrendering to an all-powerful one-world government is not going to do anything for the climate, but it's going to decimate humanity and civilization. That's why they have to brainwash impressionable young children. They know that we bitter clingers will not go for it. It's time to expose these people, folks, and if you won't protect your children from these maniacs who want to brainwash them, nobody will. It's all up to you.